Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Peter Robbins Brown, Louisiana Progress. So as my colleague mentioned, we really aren't coming at this from like a pro-insurance or anti-insurance or pro-lawyer or anti, like that's just not what we do. We're really coming at this from the perspective of high auto insurance costs disproportionately harm low income and working class folks. Not that it doesn't harm everybody, including businesses and across the board, but that's really who we're coming at and trying to protect or, at least reduce harm. And so I think that's where we really wanted to look at this is sort of, obviously there's a lot of discussion. We've heard it for the last couple of hours today, centered around the legal environment. We're not experts on that and don't pretend to be. I think it's important that along with looking at that, and I think one thing that I've seen is that sometimes the whole discussion around auto insurance or just insurance in general does really get caught up in the legal side of things, which again is understandable. I mean, been watching this for several years, so I get it. I'm not trying to say that shouldn't be the discussion or part of is that there are more things to be looking at. And I think that these are things that while we talk about the legal environment, which clearly has a lot of powerful moneyed interests, often arguing with each other, there might be some of these factors that we can maybe isolate that should, based on us being an outlier, directly lead to decreasing those insurance costs. Like my colleague mentioned, we're going to continue to try to pull that data out and bring that to y'all as much as we can. And I think ultimately things like he mentions pedestrian and bicycle and cyclist safety, those are things that we could maybe do, that y'all could look at doing as part of infrastructure improvements. So, when you're talking about building new roads and bridges, I don't see a lot of Southwest Louisiana, legislators, but like, the Calcasieu Bridge project, these kinds of things. How can those be built with pedestrian safety, cyclist safety, and I mean, with that kind of a large project, would be more like on-ramps and off-ramps kind of thing. But like, how can rebuilding roads, all of these things be done with an eye toward pedestrian and cyclist safety, and including, and so we'll continue to be trying to research that, looking at what other cities and states are doing to try to improve those. I think one note that came up back toward the beginning of this discussion, but has come up multiple times, that is somewhat related, I guess, admittedly directly related to both the lawyer side and the insurance side, but in a different way than the legal environment, is the advertising cost situation. Those of you on house insurance probably tired of seeing me on the ad insurance thing or on the ad cost thing, but on both sides, right? I don't want to isolate it to one side or another. Is that there is, you're required to have auto insurance, unlike every other product. When those costs are built into the base rates, so that incentivizes companies, both the insurance companies and the lawyers, to advertise, right? Because they have a captive audience in a way that you don't have with essentially any other product or service. You have people who are compelled to buy it. So, knowing you have a captive audience, you are incentivized to advertise heavily, whatever side you're on. And then when you factor those costs in, we talked about it not just with billboards, TV, radio, paid per click. I mean, it just seems like across the board, we're all, if you watch an LSU game, half the commercials are insurance. If you listen to, we're listening to the radio on the way in today, half the ads are insurance ads. You are looking at whatever website you're looking at, half the ads are insurance ads. And then when, so you're inundated with it, it makes up a huge percentage of the advertising space. Those costs are then passed on to the consumer. Again, we're not here with a specific, this is the solution to that at the moment. Although you have seen me on Representative Carter's bill in the past, I like his idea, but whatever. The point being that clearly is part of, plays a large role in driving the costs. And again, that's a problem that's occurring on sort of both sides of this sort of contentious issue that we see often pitting insurance companies and lawyers somewhat against each other, if not directly against each other. So I think important point to make is you look for these solutions that are not necessarily legal arena related that are driving up our costs.
Yep. Thank you. You've got a question from Speaker Pro Tem Johnson.
You said half the commercials on your television are insurance companies or plaintiffs' attorneys?
No, I mean, or like all of it. I mean, just whether it's attorneys or insurance, it's like insurance related, right? You know, whether it's the billboards, the TV ads, the radio ads, the digital ads, it just feels like half. And again, maybe I don't have the statistic.
I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying,
again,
because there aren't that many. Unfortunately, we don't have enough statewide insurance companies to fill up advertisement for an entire football game, but we do have enough plaintiffs' attorneys.
I would say it's all the above. Yeah.
But you're speaking to like Robbie's bill, Representative Carter's bill that said that the expenses that are the costs that have been spent by insurance companies should be for advertisement should be included shouldn't be included as part of their loss ratio or loss cost in the state.
In the base cost.
Okay,
and I will admit that I don't love every detail of his bill. I think the concept, though, of trying to limit in some way, again, because it's a different type of product that you're compelled to buy, right? Like, I understand that Diet Coke is, when you buy a Diet Coke, you're paying for their ads.
I tend to agree with you.
But I don't buy, I don't have to buy Diet Coke, right?
Okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to be sure I didn't have the wrong cable program that I was.
I'm
in Pineville. I mean, we have antennas. And
sure, I know,
Suddenlink, which is about a nickel above that, but
yeah. It's really speaking just more to the fact, again, you're compelled to buy. It incentivizes advertising. There's a ton of advertising. That cost gets passed on to the consumer.
Yeah. Thank you both for your testimony. I see no more questions.
Thank you for the time.